The moment we've all been waiting for is finally here, the EA Sports WRC's launch week. EA has been kind enough allowing me access to the review build of the game so I can give you guys my thoughts straight away, something which is much appreciated of course. Let's dive into it. Hi, my name is Sim and welcome to simracing. In today's video I'll give you my hands-on review of the various features and game modes in the new EA Sports WRC, sharing my thoughts on the good and the bad. Later on this week I'll put out a hands-on review video discussing the driving experience, focusing on aspects such as the handling, locations and stages, sound, graphics and more. Even though I've played the game for over 30 hours now, there is still so much I need to test out when it comes to these things. In the meantime, if you want to learn more about my first impressions regarding the handling, you can watch two of my previous videos where I talk about tarmac and gravel. The physics haven't really been altered too much compared to what was in the preview build, so it's still fairly accurate. I'll leave links to them in the description below. Now let's get into this proper, starting off with the rally school for the rookies amongst you. In this feature you'll be able to learn the basics of driving a rally car, having the option of doing it on tarmac, gravel and snow. Adding the various surface types to learn these techniques on was a good move by the development team. For the vast majority of your lessons you'll be driving a plucky little builder mode car. Despite it being four-wheel drive, this one handles very much like a front-wheel drive car though, which is a bit odd. The rally school is a lovely addition to the game, but personally I would have added a few more lessons where you are taught about certain unique handling characteristics of rear-wheel drive or front-wheel drive cars as well. Next up we have career mode. In this feature your WRC journey begins with a short introduction video telling you what to expect from this game mode. I usually skip these things, but I couldn't do it this time around as it was well put together. Afterwards you'll be able to choose whether to start at the bottom in Junior WRC and work your way up, or jump straight into one of the higher tier classes. Personally I'd like to work my way up and prove that I deserve a seat in a Rally 1 car, so that's what I did. I quickly worked out my team branding, signed my contract, selected the Rally 3 spec Fiesta and went for a short test run in it. Once that was concluded, I was able to select the difficulty levels I wanted the career to be at. Obviously I need some competition, so I chose the tougher route. The thing I do like here is the fact that you have a budget and targets to hit, but it also leaves you with a bit of freedom. I bought my own Ford Fiesta Rally 3 but still had budget on the side for a second car, or perhaps acquire another Fiesta so I can hire a teammate to compete with me in the championship. Now one of the things I'm not liking too much is the calendar. I must admit that it looks cool, but it's hard to see the bigger picture as it were. If you want to know what's coming up in the next few weeks, you have to scroll all the way to it. Also, you can only participate in one event each week apart from your main championship rallies, which means you will have to look further down the calendar in order to plan ahead. After checking everything out, I decided to quickly slap a livery design on my new car and began progressing through my career. Aside from choosing the Fiesta, you can also build your own Rally 3 car using the builder mode, so let's check that out next. When I first heard about this feature I was quite excited due to the huge potential of it. However, based on what's possible at launch, I think this will be rather disappointing for many of us. So you basically start off by selecting your engine layout and build a car around it. Many of you might feel let down because you can only build a modern four-wheel drive car following FIA Rally 3, Rally 2 or Rally 1 regulations. However, personally I do understand why they've done that though. Implementing the physics for custom built rear wheel drive or front wheel drive cars with different engine layouts is a massive task. Where my issues lie is with the various customization options. Based on what's there at launch, you won't really be able to design your own unique rally car. At the moment there are only 5 major body designs for the front and the rear, which means that there are really only 25 different combinations available. Yes, you have a few additional bits you can add to the bumpers and so on, but when it comes to the true shape of the car, 25 is what we get. In addition to that, many of the options aren't exactly appealing to look at either. Some of them, for example, aren't really balanced from a car design point of view. They are oddly shaped with plenty of parts looking so out of proportion. On the mechanical side of things, the options are somewhat limited as well and only really differ in terms of the quality and condition of the parts. Certain ones offer extra adjustability, but that's just not enough. So at the moment this feature has been disappointing for me. I'm not sure how many options will be added in future updates, so we'll have to wait and see. If it were up to me, I would not have put this in the game at all. I'd keep it in-house and continue the development for another year or two in order to properly flesh it out. Despite its huge potential, I suspect it won't be received too favourably by the player base, which could result in the feature disappearing altogether from future titles because of it. And that would honestly be a massive shame. Now, whether you drive a real rally car or one you've built yourself, you'll be able to put your own custom design on it, which leads me nicely into the next feature, the livery editor. For those that are unaware, I have my own design brand called SRD Simracing Design and have been creating liveries for both virtual and real life cars, one of which was Oliver Solberg's Skoda Fabia RS Rally 2 earlier this year, which is featured in EA Sports WRC. So what do I think of the livery editor? Well, it's not exactly brilliant. In fact, it's rather bad. The list with points of critique outweigh the positives by a significant margin. Be advised, this is where I start ranting for a while, so if you aren't interested, feel free to skip to the next chapter. Right, let's start with some of the positives. You have the option to select pre-designed patterns or start from a blank canvas. The pre-designed patterns look rather decent and you can change the colors as well as the decal finishes. Afterwards you can actually add more decals on top of it as well as sponsor logos. If you want to start from a blank canvas, you can select the base color and finish as well. Not sure why the default color is orange though, should be either white or light grey in my opinion. Other things I like is the amount of sponsor logos and design shapes you can use, knowing that they will add more in the future thanks to the Rally Pass. Before getting into the negatives, I know for a fact that the development team will fix one of the major issues shortly after launch. What I'm referring to is this. As you can clearly see, there are sections of the car where decals just can't be put. This issue affects each of the 4 corners of the car. However, there are lots of other things which really frustrate me. If you want to design a livery from scratch and you go to the shapes, you can see a whole bunch of them. The problem here is that it can take a long time to find the shape you'd like to use. What they should have done is added a filter tab where you can select different styles such as basic shapes, paint splatter, glass shutters, striping, etc. This would make things so much easier to navigate. Once you have your desired decal, you can do the usual stuff with it, such as moving, scaling, rotating, skewing and stretching it. The issue with this is very simple. It is impossible to really put things exactly where and how you want it. A quick tap on the rotation key will rotate the decal roughly between 5 and 10 degrees. It took me several minutes of rotating left and right and then left again, a bit more right and so on until I was somewhat happy. If you want to use the same shape but on a different area of the car, you'll have to go through the whole process again as there's no copy-paste option, something which is actually a vital tool for designers. And don't even think you'll be able to perfectly align the second shape with the first one, no way in hell that's possible. What they should have done is not just use key presses but implement sliders for actions such as rotating. That way you can adjust shapes in detail and align them easily with others, for example. After putting the decal in place, you can then adjust the color in any way you want. However, for these you can't adjust the decal finish. So no matte, satin, metallic or chrome finishes available, which is something I find really annoying. When it comes to the sponsor logos, we have the same issues, as well as the fact that you can't fully adjust the colors for quite a few of them. Inevitably you will reach a point where you think, I might want to add another decal behind those sponsor logos and some of the shapes. Well, that'll take you a while to do, especially if you have already put a bunch of decals on the car, because the newly added one will be layered on top of all the others. If you want to move it behind other ones, you'll have to select the move down option every single time. The possibility of selecting the decal and moving it down to where you need it to be all in one go is not possible. Proud of your creation on the left side of the car and want the right side to be exactly the same? Good luck, there's no copy-paste option for that either. You'll never be able to recreate the same design on either side of the car. I'm sorry guys, but this is just completely unacceptable and frankly amateurish. There should be enough designers at the office that could have and should have pointed all of this out from the very start, because these are very basic but highly important design principles. Heck, I would have gladly given advice on the matter free of charge. My apologies for going on about the livery editor, but I felt it needed to be said. Now, aside from the livery editor, the customization tab allows you to take a look at the rally pass as well. There you can see which cosmetics you can unlock throughout each of the game's seasons. The third customization section is called driver details. Here you can adjust your name, nationality, number and such, as well as change the appearance of your driver model in game and the gear he is wearing. We've gone down a bit of a negative spiral at the moment, but let's move on to something a bit brighter, shall we? The championship mode. You might be asking why the hell you can only pick one of 3 classes here, but that's completely normal. This mode is for creating your own WRC championship, and don't worry, you'll be able to fully customize championships with any of the other car classes in another feature. Here you have a quick way of competing against the other WRC, WRC2 or Junior WRC drivers in a standard or condensed format, as well as having a few other options to play with. Once you've made the decision, the game will go straight into the first event. At the service park you can check out the stages and weather conditions you'll run in. For this one we have a leg of 3 stages before the next service, followed by the power stage. You might have noticed that the first stage will be sunny and dry, the second partly cloudy, and on the third one it's going to snow. The power stage will be in dry conditions. You can also see the running order in this tab as well, which is nice. In the repair section we can see the various things that will ultimately get damaged along the way. From the various events I've competed at so far, you will need to be careful. There were numerous times where I scraped just a few rock faces or trees, but no major impacts. Yet I couldn't fix everything during the service. And this was even the case in events where hardcore damage was turned off. Even though damage to the car's body panels is nothing too crazy, the mechanical damage could easily cause issues along the way. During several services I really needed to figure out the optimal way of fixing things before moving on to the next loop. Now, based on the weather conditions, we'll have to make our tyre choice. For the first leg, the winter tyres are preferable despite the fact that there might not be too much snow on the first 2 stages. I did compete in an official club event at Chile with the Rally 1 cars, quickly realizing that the tyre choice wasn't as straightforward as I expected. There were a total of 6 stages with 3 service moments, 1 before and 2 in between. However, I only had 2 sets of tyres for the whole event, 1 set of softs and 1 of mediums. I used the softs for the first leg of 3 stages totaling about 24 km. The mediums I kept for the remaining 2 legs, which had 3 stages combined, totaling roughly 70 km. Now looking back, I probably should have gone with the mediums for the first and second leg and kept the softs for the final 34 km stage. The reason I'm mentioning this is because tyre management will be far more impactful this time around compared to what we had in Dirt Rally 2.0, something many will be happy about for sure. We also see the return of the setup menu, which is largely the same one we had in the Dirt Rally games. And for the Rally 1 car specifically, there's the additional boost selection tab. At first on tarmac I usually went for the aggressive boost, however after a while I started realizing the intricate dynamics of the system. I can tell you that you will have to drive strategically to get the most out of your boosts, something I'll go into more detail on in the driving experience video later this week. Moving on to our next feature called Moments Mode. These are basically fun challenges which are either fictional or based on situations real world rally drivers found themselves in at some point during their career. This will be replacing dailies, weeklies and monthlies from Dirt Rally 2.0. Some of you will be disappointed, but don't be. I already saw there will be semi-officially organized online club events called Dirty Dailies, Weeklies and Monthlies, which will more or less replicate the system from Dirt Rally 2.0. Speaking of clubs, these will most likely be the beating heart of EA Sports WRC, where most of you will spend a lot of time in. Communities can create their own clubs via the website and then further customize events and championships in-game. The way they work is very similar to how it was in the previous Dirt Rally games. Now, lots of organizers were hoping to have the option of creating multi-class events or championships, but as far as I know that won't be possible for now, unfortunately. One thing I do like is that players will have the option to check the rules for the clubs they are competing at in-game. That's a very handy little addition for sure. Right, next we have Quick Play, where we find a solo and multiplayer hub. In the solo hub you can either use the auto-generate rally option or put together one event or even a whole custom championship, selecting the events and stages you want, including the season and car class, as well as the time of day and weather conditions for each of the stages. In addition, you can play around with certain specific settings, including the format, whether to have bonus points for stage wins or the power stage, AI performance, hardcore damage and surface degradation. You also have the option of organizing regularity rally events. I haven't been able to get into this feature as of right now, but it's definitely another fun challenge to try out at some point. In the multiplayer hub you can organize events for groups up to 32 drivers who then compete straight away. You can jump into a quick match, look for specific sessions organized by others, or put one together yourself. Everything in Quick Play is great as it offers players another way of competing against AI or real life friends or players. What's not to like? And finally there's your classic time trial mode, where you can attempt to get as high on the leaderboards as you can with any car on any stage in either dry or wet conditions. I've already had a go at it trying to beat Rally Technical's quick benchmark time on the Ancel stage at Monte Carlo in the Rally once. I got close but didn't want to steal the setup guru's thunder after he kindly shared a custom setup for one of the cars. Besides, at that point there was still so much in the game I had to explore. Now, one of the great new features they've added into the game, which is not really in your face, is the telemetry on the RaceNet website. I mean, this is properly race nerdy cool. You can basically analyze your run and see where you lost time or which sections you can still improve upon. And not only that, you can bring up telemetry from other drivers such as Rally Technical and compare it to your own. Also, this feature isn't just linked to time trial runs either, but it's available for online events such as clubs as well. As a little added bonus, this can be used to check whether a player took illegal cuts or is actually cheating. Now, if you are someone like me who enjoys a little momentum, you can always pop into the photo mode to take some really cool shots. You can either look for a good angle using the orbit camera or do like me and select the free roam camera instead. With the latter, you can move the camera around freely and then play with the many settings, including the possibility to add some cool frames and even increase the amount of dirt on the car. Right, before wrapping up this first post-launch EA Sports WRC video, I'll quickly go over some of the game settings options. One of the things I really appreciate is the implementation of accessibility elements for people who suffer from hearing or eyesight impairment. Aside from this, there are lots of settings for you to work with, from the option of having normal or simplified co-driver calls to helping rookies with new innovative assists, offering audio balancing options, the availability of music playlists for streamers and content creators, various basic and advanced graphical options and more. So there you have it, my thoughts on the various features and game modes in EA Sports WRC. After this, I'll jump straight back into the game and continue testing the cars and locations, as well as having loads of fun in the process. Let me know what you think of the game in the comments below after trying it out. Thank you very much for watching, I hope you enjoyed it, and if that is indeed the case, feel free to like the video. Want to support Sims Racing even more? Consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell. It helps the channel reach more like-minded people such as yourself. Enjoy the rest of your day, good luck and goodbye.